Sunlight hurts my eyes.
Hello YouTube, this is DrawingKid1313 and welcome to another one of my mod showcases. Now this mod, if you are familiar with my Let's Play, I do a lot of things that pertain to this mod. It's a really big and expansive mod. It is the equivalent exchange mod. Yeah, a lot of things to do with this mod, and I'll try to get as much of it into one video as I can, but I'll probably have to end up splitting this into two separate videos, because I not only want to show you all the items, but I want to show you some of the cool functions of the items as well. Another thing to note is I know that this mod has been showcased and reviewed and all that by a lot of people that are much more well known than me. But I figure, hey, why not? Just gonna go ahead and do a mod spotlight on this because I think it's just really amazing. This mod was started by Xenophobe, and apparently, I don't know, he went away or something, took a break from the modding or whatever. Not really sure of the story, but anyways, Pahimar has taken over. So yeah, he's the one that's in charge for updating and making any changes that arise from here on. This is for 1.2.5, by the way, so I'll be sure to, when I update my Let's Play series, to be using this mod. So anyways, in front of me here I have a whole bunch of items, and these are just the blocks that this game adds. In these two chests I have the items that it adds as well, and I believe I have most if not all of them. And I'm going to go into all these items a little more in detail, so that you guys can see the crafting recipe and everything else, and then I'm going to kind of give you a walkthrough, like if you were spawned into a random world with this mod installed, some of the things that you might want to do first. So let's go ahead and start out with the basics, shall we? Let's go into this chest that we have right here, and you'll see that I have these things called divining rods. Divining rods are pretty neat, and they are made with this stuff called covalence dust. If we look up the crafting recipe, oops, that's the uses. If we look up the crafting recipe of this, you'll see that it's just oh wait, no, it's divining rod. If we look up the crafting recipe of the covalence dust, it is one piece of charcoal, which is obtained by smelting wood, and then 7 pieces of cobblestone gets you 40 covalence dust. That's pretty cool. As you can see, there are multiple different kinds of covalence dust, each one getting more and more expensive, so this is kind of like the lowest tier. The next tier of covalence dust requires 1 iron ingot and 1 piece of redstone, and that gets you 40 of the light blue covalence dust. And then finally the last tier, being the blue covalence dust, or the dark blue, is a diamond and a piece of coal. So not too expensive considering it's only 1 diamond, and you get 40 of them, but it's also not expensive in the sense of what it does. And what it does is you could use it to make this divining rod, and you use it for a few other things, but I'll get to that later. Let's look at the lowest tier divining rod, shall we? First off, the crafting recipe looks like this. 8 pieces of covalence dust surrounding 1 stick, and that gets you the divining rod. And then with each tier of the divining rod, it's basically just the one before it, being the green one, surrounded by the light blue covalence dust, getting you the divining rod. And then after that, you get the highest tier, which is just the dark blue covalence dust surrounding the light blue divining rod. Pretty simple. Let me go ahead and dig down into a cave, and I'll show you what these things do. Alright, so I'm back here, and I just simply dug a hole straight down through the center of the earth. And when we have our lowest tier divining rod in our hand right here, and we right click on a wall, it says divining suggests a value around 1. What this is telling me is it's telling me the EMC of the area around the block that I clicked on. And I believe it doesn't go too far down. It has a very short range, which is why you want to upgrade it as soon as possible. So you can see, like right there, I clicked on a value of 18. So I can just kind of go around and see where I'm what I'm near exactly in terms of resources. So you can see if I have coal in front of me, it tells me a much higher value than if I were to just click on stone. Same with redstone, because it has a slightly higher EMC value than stone. So the next tier of divining rod is the light blue, and when we right click on a wall like with this, it says the divining rod suggests a value around 1. And then it also, if you would notice, says that the best found is 1. This tells you the best found EMC value of the blocks that it searches. And this has slightly larger range than the lowest tier divining rod, but not as much as the highest tier. So, if we just go ahead and click around, we'll see that we saw 128. And, just going around and we see 128, 128, 1, and 1. So it looks like I kind of found a bad spot to dig down because we didn't find too many cool things. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and take out our highest tier divining rod crafted with the highest tier covalence dust. And when we click on here, it says the divining rod suggests a value around, and it gives you a number. Another thing that it does is it tells you the best found, the second, and the third best found out of all the blocks that it searches. So you can see, it's telling us 128, and not only does it have a higher range and more things that it tells you, but it also is more accurate. So, like the lowest tier divining rod really has not a lot of accuracy, so you want to upgrade it soon. Another thing that you do is if you press G while you have this in your hand, it says divining rod mid-range. If you press it again, it goes to divining rod long range. And then press it again and it goes into short range, which is the default of this thing. So let's go ahead into long range, and that says it's 64 by 3 by 3. So basically when I click on it, it searches 3 by 3, so 3 and 3, and then it searches 64 blocks deep. So it searches quite a long ways ahead of you. And as you can see over here, I found 800 or 8,192, which is diamonds. And I'll get into the EMC thing in a little bit here. I just want to show you the divining rods, which can be very useful, as you just saw, for finding diamonds, and gets you started early on in the game. So that's one of the first items that you need to craft. Let's go ahead and look at the next item that you may craft. Alright, so the next thing that you might craft in your game of Minecraft with this mod installed is known as the Philosopher's Stone. This thing is pretty cool and it has quite a few functions. First off, if we go over here and we simply just right click on this dirt, you'll see that it turns it to sand. Same with if we click on the sand, it turns it back to grass. Now if we hold shift and we click, it turns it to cobblestone. And if we click on the cobblestone without holding shift, it turns it to stone. So this is very good for all you interior designers that like to make your house look aesthetically pleasing, such as me. Make everything, the same material and whatnot. So, that's one of the functions. Another thing that you should note that it does, if we fly over here to the furnace, or not the furnace, but the forest, rather, and we click on one of the trees with it, you'll see that if we click on it, it turns the whole tree, and the ones that are touching it, actually, and it turns it into a different kind of tree. So you can see that this turns it into the kind that you would find in a snow biome, and then this being the birch trees. So pretty cool. Another thing that you can do is if you get a pumpkin, which I will give myself right here, and you have it down right there, and you hold, or you don't hold anything, but you just click on it, it turns it into a watermelon. Same thing if we click on a watermelon and turn it into a pumpkin. Pretty cool. And this makes it a lot easier to get watermelons without having to find them in caves and whatnot, in dungeons. So that's pretty cool. Another thing that you may note that has to pertain with the changing of the whatchamacallit, you'll see that if you press V, you can see that you heard, or I guess you could hear a little noise it makes, and you can also see the bar right here grow in size. Press it again, and press it one more time for a total of 4 charge levels. A lot of things in equivalent exchange require you to charge up the item, such as the red morning star or any other thing that has certain functions. So, another thing that it does is it can turn different flowers into the different colors. So if we go up to the ground and we click on here, you can see that it turns a much larger area into sand instead of just the one block. You can use the same with shift clicking, turning into stone, and then stuff like that. So pretty cool and very useful. Now the other thing that you should notice that it does is if you press C while it's in your hand, you get a portable crafting table. How cool is that? I know me personally, I don't usually keep my chest where I keep everything in the same place as I keep my crafting table. So this is very handy when you're just out in the open and let's say your pickaxe breaks and you want to craft a new one. No problem, you have a crafting table and you don't have to make 20 million bajillion crafting tables while you're out and about. So that's pretty cool. By the way, the crafting recipe for this Philosopher's Stone is 4 pieces of glowstone, 4 pieces of redstone, surrounding a diamond like so, and it gets you the Philosopher's Stone. And it's a very handy dandy tool indeed. It also has a few uses for the crafting recipes, but I'll get into those later. Anyways, let's look at one of the next things that you may want to craft. Alright, so the next thing that you may want to craft is this little thing right here. This is known as the Transmutation Tablet, and I have one in my inventory right here that I could show you the crafting recipe for it real quick. As you notice, you need the Philosopher's Stone in order to craft this, and when you craft this, it does not use up the Philosopher's Stone. It actually gives you the Philosopher's Stone back so that you could use it for whatever else you want. So you don't have to craft multiple one of these, you only need one. And then, you're surrounded by stone and obsidian. So pretty cheap recipe for the things that this little device does. So let me go ahead and make it daytime real quick here. Now let me give myself a few items. I'm just going to give myself some stone. Let's just get one. I'll give myself some wood, some saplings, some lapis blocks, wool, see some bricks. Oh, those are slabs. Give myself some mushrooms, some melons. Why not a few of these energy collectors that I will get into eventually. And some gold, silver, or gold, iron, diamond, and coal. So when I click on here, you'll notice that it has quite a large interface. And this can be confusing if you don't know exactly what it is you're doing. Basically, this can transmute or kind of convert EMC, which is the basic building block of this mod, into different items and whatnot. So basically EMC is basically the energy that is stored inside the item that you have. For example, if we put stone in here, which this is the slot which is the input and this is the output, you'll see that the EMC is only 1. So it has a very low EMC value. Now, another thing that you should notice is the transmutation changes from no lock to matter. And there's a significant difference there. If we take this stone out and we put a piece of coal in there, first off you'll notice that it has an EMC of 128. But we will not be able to transmute it into stone, or if we had like iron, diamonds, or whatever we may have. This is because it changes the lock into fuel, meaning that it can only transmute fuel type objects, being coal, redstone, blaze rods, blaze powder, glowstone blocks, and the higher tiers of fuel, which I will get into in a moment. So there's a difference there. If we put in wood, you'll see that it has an EMC of 8. Regular wood has a piece of EMC of 32. Same with saplings, has an EMC of 32. Lapis lazuli blocks have an EMC of 7,776, so pretty high right there. Regular wool has an EMC of 48. Mushroom does not have an EMC value, therefore you cannot put it into the transmutation table. So pretty interesting, I didn't know that. And then iron has 256, gold has 2,048, and diamond has 8,192. As you noticed, as I put each new object in this transmutation table, it came up with a thing that said learned. This is telling you that it learned the object that you just put into it. So you can't just put in a diamond and only a diamond, like if you had just started up a game and you just put in a diamond, you can't get anything else out of it since you haven't learned any other objects. So this kind of makes it more fair, saying that you need to actually obtain the resources that you need, or the resources that you want to transmute into. So it's not just free EMC, or it doesn't make anything too easy, which is something that I like. And then you know these things which have a crazy amounts of EMC, this one having 710,000, so quite a bit. So that's the transmutation table for you, and this is used in a lot of things. As you can see, it's very helpful for just getting materials that you need on the go, maybe transmuting some of that extra gold that you have laying around into iron, and you know, so on and so forth. So let's look at the next item that we can craft here. Alright, so now that you know that every item in the game, or most items in the game of Minecraft, have an EMC value, and then you could transmute different things into other things of either the same EMC value or less. You know, that's pretty cool, but not everyone wants to just go around collecting materials and, you know, burning up their diamonds to get more expensive things. Nah, that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is we want to get some passive EMC generation going on here. The way you would do that is with this contraption right here, called a Mark 1, or it's just called an energy collector. And as you can see, there are different tiers of collectors. You can see you have Mark 2, and then you have a Mark 3, each one getting more and more expensive. Now an energy collector, let me just go ahead and give myself one here, is a pretty expensive object or item right here. And the way that you craft it is with a block of diamonds, so that requires 9 diamonds, 6 glowstone, which is pretty expensive as well, 1 furnace, and then 1 piece of glass. So pretty expensive, but as you can see, I have one over here, and it's just, you know, gathering. It uses the sunlight for energy, you know, gets it from the sun up there, and it basically just collects the energy that is floating around in the atmosphere. You can see in the time that I've made up this little mod showcase, you can see that I got 6,800 EMC. Now there are different tiers of this. As you can see, you need a collector Mark II and a collector Mark III. The way that you collect or create a collector Mark II will be to use the previous tier, which would be just the Mark I, and then you use what is called dark matter. Dark matter is a very expensive object. If I go ahead and just give myself a piece, one right here somewhere, just go ahead and give myself a piece of red matter, run over to my transmutation table, you'll see that when I put it in here, it's 139,000 EMC. Why is this so much, you ask? Well, that's because the crafting recipe, yes, it is crafted, is fairly expensive. You could see that it requires 1 block of diamond, which is 9 diamonds, and then this stuff called Eternalist fuel. How do you get Eternalist fuel, you may ask? Well, that's pretty simple. Let's just go ahead and give myself a piece of redstone. And let's go ahead and put it into one of my collectors. First off, I have a whole bunch of EMC built up in here, so it's going to go fairly quickly. As you can see, it upgraded all the way up to Mobius fuel. However, this process is a little bit slower if you just start out. So let's go ahead and get myself another piece of redstone, put that down, and put this in here. As you can see, what it's going to do is it's going to slowly work its way up to better fuel resources. So it goes from redstone. Let's see what it goes to next. Meanwhile, we'll get another collector going on there, and as you can see, it's going slightly faster because of that Mark III relay that is right next to it. And then it goes to glowstone, then it goes to alchemical coal. After alchemical coal, it goes to blaze powder. And then after blaze powder, hold on a second, I'll be right back. After blaze powder, it works its way up to glowstone. And then after the glowstone stage, it works its way up to Mobius fuel. And then finally, after it works its way up to Mobius fuel, it goes into Eternalist fuel, which is the highest and EMC-wise of fuel source. And this can be burned in a furnace, or you know, whatever else. It works with industrial craft and build craft as well. So this mod really cooperates with a lot of different mods fairly well. Like for example, you know all the ores that industrial craft adds? Well, it's created an EMC value for all the ores there. Same with, what's the other mod? Red Power 2. It has a lot of the EMC values for Red Power 2. And it even has an add-on for forestry, which is pretty cool because those are some of the mods that I work with the most. So this Eternalist fuel, you'll notice that it has an EMC value of 8,192. This, if you would also notice, is the same as one diamond, which has the same thing. The only difference is this is a fuel source, diamond is matter. So, with this Eternalist fuel, like you saw with the dark matter, you surround a diamond block with it, and you get a piece of dark matter. So you need 8 pieces of Eternalist fuel, and you saw just how difficult it was to get all the way up to, what was it, blaze powder? And you can see how slow it's moving now that I took the Mark III collector away from it. So this is definitely not overpowered by any means of the word. So, it's all fairly balanced. So, that's something that I like about this mod. And then if you would also notice, this is the Collector Mark III. First off, this is the Collector Mark II. Yeah, Collector Mark II. You'll notice that from the Collector Mark I, it has a larger inventory for storing the fuel sources that you have in there. And then it also gains energy a lot quicker than it would if it was just a Mark I. Now with this Mark III relay, you see that it's not collecting energy, but that's because it's next to one of these. But if we go over here, you notice that it's actually full. Let's go ahead and place one down. Let's see, set it times noon, and let's place this thing down. You'll see that it is gaining energy very fast. Keep in mind though that the way you craft this is with your Mark II collector, which was already some crazy amount of energy, considering that it required dark matter, and then this other thing called red matter. Red matter is created using 3 pieces of dark matter, very expensive, and then 3 or 6 pieces of Eternalist fuel. So very, very expensive item right here, very expensive indeed. But it is used to create this thing called a Collector Mark III, and that gets you a lot of EMC generation. Now that is pretty neat, but we don't necessarily want to just keep upgrading our fuels. What if we want to dump our EMC that we're passively generating and, I don't know, maybe condense it into items or whatnot? We can use this thing called an energy condenser. And if we go ahead into NEI here and we get ourselves an energy condenser, you'll see that it requires an alchemical chest. An alchemical chest is crafted with 1 diamond, a chest, 2 iron ingots, 2 pieces of stone, and then 1 from each tier of the covalence dust. So a fairly cheap item, and as you can see I have an alchemical chest right here. When you open it up you notice a huge, ginormously huge inventory that you have right here. So it can definitely store a lot of things. And then, when you upgrade it, you get, the same amount of storage, and you have this thing right here, which this is the target block. And I'll get into that right now, actually. First off, if we place it near any collector, I'm just going to place it near Mark III, you'll notice that it still doesn't do anything, and this is still gathering EMC as it needs. If we were to put an item in there, I don't know, let's do something fairly cheap, I don't know, obsidian. If we go over to our transmutation table, you notice that obsidian has an EMC value of 64. So what this is going to do is it's going to take the energy that is being produced from this collector right here. This will stay inside the collector, by the way, and it's going to take the energy that's being produced by the collector, dump it all into this energy condenser, which pretty much condenses the EMC that's gathering from the surroundings, or from the sunlight, and puts it into the item that you want it to be. So pretty cool. Now if I were to do, that's obsidian, you saw how fast it was moving. If I were to do, I don't know, a piece of red matter, which by the way has a whopping value, EMC value that is, of 466,944 EMC. That's quite a lot. It's actually a lot. So yeah, if we put that in there, you'll see that we can't even see the progress bar yet it's gathered almost 2,000 EMC. So again, not overpowered in any way whatsoever. So that's pretty cool, but this is just gathering power from the sun. What if we want to boost that up and make it, I don't know, a little more efficient? Well, what we would use is this we would use an energy relay. Now if we go over here and we look up the, it's an antimatter relay that is. And this is just the Mark I. I'm going to give myself 1 of each. Excuse me. If we look at the recipe for this antimatter relay, we'll notice that it requires 1 block of diamond, glass, and some obsidian surrounding it. So again, similar recipe as the collector, just as expensive, I think a little bit cheaper because it requires, excuse me again, obsidian instead of glowstone. But you know, whatever. And basically what this relay will do, if we get rid of this real quick, and we put it next to our collector, first off you'll notice that it's collecting EMC. Very cool. And you know, this is just going to stay in here, but no big deal. We could suck that up if we wanted to. So not only is it going to collect the energy that is coming from any Mark III or any relay that is around it, like if I were to put one right here, it's going to get it twice as fast because it has two relays working on it. Another thing that you can do with this is you could burn up any item that has an EMC value. So you can see I burned up the Eternalist fuel and it gave me the EMC value of it, which was 8,192. Same with the dark matter. And the higher the EMC value, the higher it takes to, or the longer it takes. Actually, no, I lied. The reason why it is not, what's the word that I'm looking for? The reason why it is not burning up the dark matter is because it has too high of an EMC value than it can store. This obviously has a max amount of EMC that it can store, and the way that you can expand that is by upgrading your existing relays with a Mark II relay and a Mark III relay. The way that you craft these is with your previous antimatter relay, and then your piece of dark matter on top gets you the relay Mark II. Same deal with the relay Mark III. You have the relay Mark II in the middle, surrounded by obsidian, and with red matter on top. And basically, you see over here, this relay Mark III will have a much larger storage for EMC. You can see that I just put two pieces of red matter, being almost 1 million EMC, and that's more than this can hold, obviously, because you can't even see the progress bar barely. So those are the relays, and there's a few things that you can do with these, and you could build what is called a I guess you would call it a solar flower. And I'm just going to go ahead off camera and build one for you guys real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I figured I would just show you guys as I'm making this. You start out with a energy condenser in the middle. Next, what you want to do is you want to put Mark III, or you know, whatever you have, you want to put your relays around it, like so. One like that, and finally one on top. And so now you have a total of 5 Mark III relays all around it. Next thing that you want to do is you want to put your collectors, you want to put one right there, 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 right there, right there, and right there. So that gives you kind of this design right here. And then finally you want to complete everything, and you will put one right there, and then finally one on top. So basically any relay that you have is completely covered by energy collectors. And don't forget the ones on the bottom of these relays right here. You put them like that. And what I'm going to do right here is you know, dig that out. That was just scaffolding. And when we go into here, it's not doing anything. But let's say we target, oh, I don't know, let's target some diamonds, shall we? Where are diamonds? Diamonds, where are you? There we go, I found one. So if you put a diamond in the target slot, you'll notice that it really racks up EMC very quick. This is because it has a total of 17 Mark III relays, or no, sorry, 17 Mark III collectors and 5 Mark III relays. Now this would be a lot more efficient if we were just to use a piece of red matter and put that in the target block. So pretty cool. Another thing that I forgot to mention about this energy condenser is if you put items inside it, I don't know, Eternalist fuel or whatever you may have, it'll burn up that stuff and put it directly into production of the thing that you have targeted. So you can see it just basically burnt through everything. And that's yeah, that produces quite a bit of red matter. Anyway, that was just a little fun thing that you may want to do in your world. I know I have it in my Let's Play. So you know, good way of getting EMC. Obviously 17 Mark III relays requires a lot of EMC, so you're not going to get it early on in the game. So those were the relays, collectors, and energy condensers. Let's go ahead and look at the next few things. Alright, so we have just a little bit more time left, not much, but I'm going to make use of it. I'm going to show you a few more things that you can make with this dark matter and red matter. So first, let me go ahead and give myself a stack of each. Oops, not Mobius fuel. And then let's, I don't know, get out our Philosopher's Stone so that we have a crafting table. First off, if we put dark matter in a square of 4, like so, it gives us 4 dark matter blocks. Same thing with the red matter. Put in a square of 4, it gives us 4 red matter blocks. Now, you know, these are pretty cool, and as you can see I have them laid down right here, and you pretty much need some very strong tool. I think even a diamond pickaxe takes a while to mine this stuff, so be careful if you put it down in your world. You want to make sure you have the adequate tool in order to pick it back up. That would be kind of funny, wouldn't it? But anyways, if I go ahead and give myself a furnace, and I make myself a few more blocks, and I put my dark matter blocks in an arrangement like so, and I put my furnace in the middle here, this gives me the dark matter furnace. And this is a pretty fun toy indeed. If we put it down, and let's give ourselves a stack of iron ore. Next thing, let's go ahead and give ourselves some fuel. Let's use the most expensive and use some Eternalist fuel. And we put this in the fuel slot. You'll see that it has a very large inventory. This is basically the input, this is the burn slot, and this is the output, and it has quite a large buffer area. So if you put our iron ore in here, first off it automatically takes it into this burn slot right here. So let's just go ahead and wait for it a little bit, and I'll be right back once it finishes that whole stack. Alright, so I'm back here. And whoa! Didn't we only put a stack of iron ore in there? Yeah, we did. The cool thing about this dark matter furnace is that it has a 50% chance of doubling your ore income. Meaning that every so often, you'll get two ores, or 2 ingots per ore, instead of just 1, like the usual. So not only is it super fast, but it's also kinda lucky. So dark matter furnace is pretty cool. What if I don't want that though? I want something a little bit better. Well, obviously, since we have like all different tiers of things, we can go ahead and upgrade it. We put our dark matter furnace in the middle, after getting ourselves some more red matter blocks. And we surround this like so. Just kidding, they changed the recipe on me. In the earlier versions, you would need to surround it all by red matter blocks, but now it's only 3 of them. And that's probably because red matter has become a little bit more expensive than in previous versions. So, you know, they're always trying to balance this mod out. Excuse me. So, as you see, I have 3 red matter blocks surrounding or on top of a dark matter furnace. This gets us the red matter furnace. Let's go ahead and give ourselves another thing of iron ores. So first things first, let's go ahead and put it down. You'll notice that there's a bigger input slot and also bigger output slot. So pretty cool, right? Let's go ahead and put our Eternalist fuel in there and put our stack of iron ore. You notice that it's extremely fast. In fact, this may even finish by the time I'm like finished talking about this thing. I mean, this thing just goes ridiculously fast. So yeah, as you should notice, we have 2 stacks of 64 iron ingots, even though we only put 1 full stack of iron ore in there. What this does, kind of like what the dark matter furnace does, is it has a 100% chance of doubling your ore income. Pretty cool, right? So yeah, you definitely want to get one of these. However, one of these is going to be fairly difficult to obtain, considering that it has a whopping EMC value of 2,514,952. So that's a lot. Yeah. So yeah, obviously you won't get that early on in the game, and that's something that you get a little bit further down the road. So it looks like we're just about at that time where I have to wrap this little mod showcase up. Obviously, there's a few things that I didn't cover, as well as all the items in these chests right here. So, but that just kind of shows you how in-depth of a mod that this is. it definitely is very cool. And there's a lot of things to it, so I'm going to have to split this up into multiple parts. So it's been Drawing Kid 1313 on part 1 of my mod showcase for equivalent exchange. Join me next time for part 2, where we cover these things real quick, and then we also get into some of the armor and tools that you can craft with this mod. So, like I said, this has been Drawing Kid 1313 as part 1, and join me next time. See ya!